Hey, this is Daryl Henry with Insurance for Entrepreneurs, and this video is 5 content frameworks you can use as a salesperson to create content and drive sales. If you want to read the blog post, it's on my website at insuranceforentrepreneurs.net. And look, I wrote this article because when I first started writing and started creating content, it was pretty intimidating to figure out what I was supposed to write about. I remember getting started on LinkedIn, and what I first started doing was sharing articles from the insurance journal and maybe adding some commentary on it, which, if you know anything about content creation, isn't really all that compelling. You're taking somebody's story and resharing it, which I'm sure the insurance journal appreciated, but it didn't have my own voice. But I didn't know what I was supposed to talk about. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. And so what I wanted to do with this article is share some thoughts, 2 years into this, um, ways that I have an endless stream of content and things to talk about. If I can help you short circuit some of the process, that's really what I want to accomplish here. The first thing that I think you should talk about is you can create content that educates about your product. And I stole all these ideas from Ryan Hanley and Marcus Sheridan. So much thanks to those guys. I'll just read through some of the questions that you can answer in video format or in blog format, and they're both wonderful. So you talk about everything that somebody needs to know about the product that you work with. You can talk about how to buy it. You can talk about what is the best. Like, people love that stuff. They love to compare it. I'm going to pause and think about that. Right, meditate on that for a second, because I think about some of the biggest purchases I've made recently. Like, I bought a Steam Deck, right? And I love my Steam Deck. It's a handheld video game console, right? I spent weeks Googling which is better, Steam Deck or Asus ROG Ally X versus Lenovo Legion Go. People love comparisons. And so in my world, in the insurance world, they're going to be comparing which is better, this company or this company, this product or this product, this agency or this agency. If you create the content, you become the source of information for it. So you can compare between options. You can talk about how much does it cost, because I know, going back to my example about Steam Deck, it's like I was Googling how much does it cost? What are the different options? Like, how much storage do I need? So for insurance, it's what do I need? How much does it cost? Which coverages are right for me? How do I buy it? And you can translate that to any industry, you can translate that to any geography, but that's what you go through, and that's what your buyers need you to help sort out. And yeah, I recommend you put your own stories on it. People love stories. People want to hear your perspective. They want to hear your personality, your personal version on all that, because at this point there's been so much AI generated garbage put out in the internet that's kind of hard to filter. You can get all the facts you want. It's really hard to get personality. So that's one framework, talking about the product. I think I'm at a slight disadvantage because I think insurance is kind of boring and most people aren't interested in it. But I think that's the case for a lot of industries, really. So then you can talk about stories of triumph and disaster. You can talk about success stories. You can talk about failures. You can tell stories from the things that you see every day. So for me, the type of content that I've created is, how one mental health organization saved 85% on workers' compensation insurance, or how one nonprofit or social service saved 50% on their liability and auto insurance. And those stories, I mean, it's good. Whoever you're talking to, you don't need a big audience. You just need the right audience. Whoever you're talking to, that message, that story is going to resonate. And people love stories. So tell those stories of triumph and disaster. So with success stories, failures, how could someone have helped themselves? I mean, for me, I help people buy and sell insurance every day. I see the mistakes that people make in the process. So what I do is I take the stories out of my day-to-day life and I put them into content. I put them into LinkedIn posts. I put them into videos. I put them into blog posts, because those are the stories that relate. I think you can translate that to any line of work, to any industry. So That and what are the greatest obstacles to using your product? Oh my gosh, like people don't like insurance. People don't like using insurance. They don't like buying insurance. So there's 1,000 ways that I can break that down and create useful content for the people that would want to buy from me. And you can do that with any industry. What are the obstacles? What are the obstacles for buying pools, buying electrical work, hiring a contractor, a managed IT service? Anybody that's trying to research what you do and what you sell, this is the type of information that they want in order to make an educated decision. So that's framework number 2. Framework number 3, questions you hear from clients and colleagues. One of the best pieces of advice I got about content creation, I stole from Ryan Hanley. He said, you're writing all the time. He said he kept a notepad with him all the time. Me, I've got my iPhone and I use the notes section. And every time I hear a story from a customer or a colleague that I think could be useful, I write it down. I put it in the notes section. So I'll get done with a meeting and I'll say, man, there were 3 really great questions that I want to make sure that I answer in some type of blog post or video. If one of my customers, if one of my prospects is asking the question, there's probably 15 more that are asking the same thing. So it's a great source of content. So, what is an interesting question a client asked you? What's an interesting question a colleague asked you? So, there's a lot of salespeople in the organization that'll come and ask me for advice, right? Those questions make for good content. The situations that they encounter, those make for good content. Life makes for good content. There's there's a book I read, and it's not on writing. It's another book on business writing and how to be a good writer. The idea is that you have an exclusive authority on your story, and believe it or not, people will find your story interesting. They want to know what's going on in your life. I think one of the things that Jerry Seinfeld did amazing and Larry David was amazing at was finding the minutia, the finest details in people's life. Like a woman's hands were too big, or the suit Nazis. Like these aren't big ideas. These are very, very small, minute observations that they took from life and watching people and interacting with people. We just need to do the same thing with our colleagues and with our clients. That's the stuff that you can turn around and make into excellent content. So, most common questions: what are things that people should understand about what you do? This makes for great stuff. Then, stories about yourself. This is the next framework that I think is awesome and makes for great content. And I've got some great responses. Once again, your number one authority that you have is your story. Nobody can take your story from you. Nobody can copy it. It's you you have complete control over it. So share parts of it. So for me, what I like to share out of is the early part of my career and the failures of my career and the successes of my career. So going back, and I'll think about all the deals that I lost, and I can share the lessons. So memories like working on a nonprofit and walking out of a deal that I knew I was going to lose. And I got set up the whole time. And the terms of the deal changed on me at the last minute. And the executive director puts his arm around my shoulder and says, Daryl, I've known this guy for 15 minutes. He puts his arm around my shoulder and says, anything I can do for you, just let me know. I was like, yeah, right. Okay. You barely know me. Stop it. But that story is compelling because there are other people that have felt similar pains of being in a deal where somebody was inauthentic or they got set up and they lost. And telling those real stories, man, it resonates with people. I think it's so hard for people to find something real in the internet. Like there's so many people that want to posture and tell you all the successes and it show you all the best parts. It's really hard to find something real and authentic. And so I found one of the best ways to share something real and authentic are to tell stories. And a lot of times the stories about some of the parts, some of the times in my life where it didn't go so well and I lost. Those those really seem to connect with people. I mean, people also want to hear your successes. They want to hear when it went right. They want to see roadmaps to success. But I think it's even more compelling for people to see someone that they think has had success and hear where they struggled, because that helps them connect with something. So, stories about yourself, stories about challenges, failures, shortcomings, how you overcame those things, and what have you learned. That makes for great content. And lastly, share about what you know in your trade. This is another great framework. So, this is a good example of me doing that. So, yes, I know about insurance, I know about insurance products, but I also know about sales. I know a thing or two about marketing, and that's a skill that can be translated across industries. So, you, this this content, this can appeal to other salespeople I might want to work with, but also business owners. Everybody's got to sell something. Everybody's got to market themselves. And so I've spent a couple of years working on content marketing. Why not share some of the lessons that I've learned from that journey? And that's another way to connect with people. It I strongly recommend it. I think for me, early on in the journey of content creation, it was hard for me to believe that I had something that was worth talking about. I didn't think that I was that unique. And the more I've done it, the more I realize the best thing I have to talk about is myself and my experience, because that's the thing that nobody can take away from me. All right, man, if you're still watching, I really appreciate you. I hope that this gave you some ideas on ways to create content, because this content will help you sell stuff. It'll help you connect with your customers and connect with your prospects and make them it'll make them trust you more. If you want to go see the blog post, it's on my website, insuranceforentrepreneurs.net. If this is helpful, hit like and subscribe. It helps other people like you find the content. Yeah, go build something great.